Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? And welcome back to the One Man Low Council. Very sorry I did not create the event in advance. I thought I had, but apparently it turns out I have not. Hello to the D-Live fam. Hello to the YouTube fam. How is everyone doing? Captain K-Man is over on the D-Live, as is Captain Dean Heist. Captain Dean Heist I have to give a huge shout out to because he recently sent me a bunch of digital codes to give away, so cannot wait for the next trivia night, which should be over the next week or so. It'll definitely be before Halloween. We'll continue our trivia nights, and I'll let you know in advance when that will be. It'll probably be this coming Saturday, but nothing is confirmed yet. But most likely this Saturday, we'll do another giveaway. We'll do another thing where every person that gets a question right gets their name put in the pool, and then the pool gets the digital codes at the very end. We'll give away a bunch. So he gave me a crap ton of codes. So I want to go ahead and shout him out for that. So thank you again, Captain Dean Heist, for your tremendous generosity. Frank the Bunny's over there. Death Knight 123 is over there as well. Asgard is over in the YouTube chat. He says, "Howdy, Odin. How's it going? Dang, had me worried because no notice for the stream. You know how the stream, the stream for the people. It is indeed for the people." And again, I'm very sorry indeed that I did not create the event in advance. As I said, I had put the name in on Restream because I use Restream so that way I can stream to both YouTube and D-Live at the same time. And normally, I immediately after go to YouTube to schedule the event. And apparently, I must have forgotten to schedule the event. To be fair, in uploading my YouTube video today, talking all about the Rise of Skywalker trailer, it took a good 30 minutes just for that file to upload and process. YouTube, of course, as we all know, is broken beyond recognition. And so that helps to explain why perhaps that issue had also happened. Captain Opinion, what's going on? How's it going? We got Tommy in the chat, Robert Fraser in the chat, Tina's in the chat. How's it going? Maverick MX is here. Soul Assassin's here. Stream Analyst is here as well. Ungoliant of Avatar, Zach Gregg is here. What's going on, Zach? How's it going? Darkside is here. Geeky Candy, what's going on, Geeky Candy? Welcome, 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 welcome. Robert Fraser says, I wonder where I can get some cool metallic posters. Well, all you need to do is go to Displate. Use my promo code in the description of the video, and that will help you out. Super Anime Gamer says, hey, what is up, my dude? What is going on, Super Anime Gamer? How is it going? Will Gentry, how's it going, bruv? See you in the chat. GMonkey76, Aaron C. is here as well. Will Gentry says, actually remembered what time you start for once. I know, you actually remembered what time I start, and I didn't even have an event scheduled. So I did want to shout out Dean Heist, though, because he sent me a crap ton of codes. Just to read off some of the ones he sent me, I've got another John Wick 3 codes. I've got a crap ton of John Wick 3 codes to give away now. I also have 2 Alita Battle Angel codes to give away. I also have a Shazam code and John Wick 1 and 2 as well. I also have a bunch of other digital codes that have been sent to me over the past several weeks. So all of those will be fair game probably on Saturday for our next trivia night. Geeky Candy, thank you for the $2 super chat. You did not have to do that, Geeky Candy. Thank you very much. Says, Hail All Father. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Geeky Candy. I appreciate you. Dory the Hobbit says, your thoughts on James Wan's Malignant? I think it will make more money than Dune. I don't know much about Malignant, so I can't really speak to it. I've never even heard of that up until your comment, so I can't speak to that at all. Riff Magos, thank you very much for the Aussie $5 super chat. Says, hello, Odin. Can we pretend Skywalker trailer was a bad dream? It would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice if the Skywalker trailer was just a bad dream? That would make things so much easier. But as I mentioned in my video today, and as of course I'll open up with tonight, the problem with the current Rise of Skywalker trailer is that it cannot escape the shadow of The Last Jedi. And some people might complain saying, when are you going to finally stop talking about that movie? Well, the problem is that movie happened to break Star Wars canon. And it became very apparent that it continues to haunt all Star Wars films, specifically with this trailer, because so many events that happen in this trailer, you immediately say, but wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense because of The Last Jedi. Or you say, okay, this isn't a big problem because of The Last Jedi. And the main point I made in my video, and the main point I will continue to hammer on until it is made non-canon, which we know in the current state of Star Wars will not happen, is the damn hyperspace ram. That has destroyed all of canon. Ryan Johnson said, you know what would be really cool? You know what would be really cool is if we had this amazing hyperspace ram. It'll look beautiful. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense and if it destroys all of canon for all of time, because now every single time you watch a Star Wars movie, you'll say, why don't you just hyperspace ram it? That would have solved all the problems and saved crap tons of lives in the process too, right? But we can't do that. We can't make sense in today's world. And that, of course, is my biggest concern. We got some love being sent over on the D Live. So Captain K-Man, thank you for the ice cream donation. Frank the Bunny, thank you for the 6 lemons and the 1 ice cream donation. How is it going? Good, sir. Captain Dean Heist, thank you for the diamond. Says, you're welcome for the codes. Captain Dean Heist, thank you once again, man. I really do appreciate that as well. You guys are freaking awesome. China Man says, my man. What's going on, China Man? Super says, I'm good. Happy to be chilling with Asgard and taking a break from my crap tons of homework studying because midterms suck. Super, I always feel like you're doing some kind of work for school. Oh, we long for the days of summer. Oh, we long for the days of summer. Don't we long for the days of summer, good friend? I think we do. Lethal. Geeks and Gamers brethren. Don't be donating to me, bruv. Thank you for the Aussie $2. Says, I tell girls I know Odin, so they think I'm cool. No. I tell girls, hey, that lethal be lethal. And they say, oh, snap. That's the truth. That's the truth right there, Lethal. Zach Gregg says, they are completely killing the whole IP. Yeah, I really do think that the IP was destroyed when they allowed Rian Johnson to have his hands on The Last Jedi. Because now no matter what they do, until and unless they make that movie not a part of the canon, or at the very least, the hyperspace ramming aspect to it, there's no point in watching Star Wars anymore. Because every time there's a crap ton of ships, all I need to say is hyperspace ram. And then there's nothing that you can say to respond to it unless you are able to say that that is no longer canon, which they will not do because we can't mess with Admiral Holdo, right? We can't say the Holdo maneuver isn't valid anymore because that takes away from the power that was given to her. That takes away the power that was given to her. We can't do that anymore. Rosetta Allen, what's going on, Rosetta? Says the trailer was stupid, purely stupid, but I got a new kitty today, so it is even out. Well, I'm glad that you got a new kitty. And yeah, the only really great thing about the trailer is the music, but even the great John Williams is continuing to basically just use his original theme. And again, as much as I love him, and as much as I love the new orchestrations, it's still the original theme. There's really not much new to it, which is good and bad at the same time because it's still as powerful as a score as it was beforehand, but it's also a powerful score with non-powerful images to back it up. You need to have it work together. The score is there to support the images. But when you have that swelling of music and you have 3PO saying, I'm looking at my friends, that is supposed to be a powerful moment in the trailer. And there's people on Twitter saying, I cried, the tears. And I'm like, why? Why is that providing you tears? What friendship has been formed between 3PO and these new characters? That's right, none. The only character in their presence that has any relationship with 3PO is R2-D2. And I'm pretty sure it's a part of canon that their memories have been wiped at various occasions. So they don't even remember all the times that they've been together at this point. Lord, man. And this is the reason why the destruction of Luke Skywalker's character, the destruction of the original 3 from the movies, and of course the untimely passing of Carrie Fisher, has just left them between a rock and a hard place. And until they are able to distance themselves from this nonsense that has been pushed forward by the new sequel trilogy, especially most of the events in The Last Jedi, they're never going to be able to get past it. Riv Magos, thank you for the Australian $5 super chat, says, I can hear the voice of Emperor Roundhead. I can feel the subverted expectations flowing through you. Yes, you can. Tech Guy, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, just love to say it. The Honker Chonker Fonker Monkey. Dude, it is such a great name to say. That's why I'm glad that he's starting to YouTube because that man right there, he got one of the greatest names in the business. Got one of the greatest names in the business, that's for sure. That is for sure. All right, here. Going back to the regular chat, Alex McCarthy says, the rise of Skywalker, more like the rise of the random space horses. Yeah, then you had the space horses, man. I can understand if they were on a grassy planet or on any planet, right? Riding horses, that might make some sense. But when you are on a spaceship or seemingly on a spaceship and there's other spaceships flying around, how do horses stand any chance? And even better, and I'm going to continue to harp on this point, if anyone wanted to end the resistance, all you would need to do is take one ship, put it into hyperspace, and ram it into whatever ship you want. That would destroy Rey. That would destroy everyone. Though, of course, I'm sure they would be like, oh, Rey could stop it from happening because she's that powerful with the Force. But, to be honest, I wouldn't put it past them at this point to do that, even though it's stupid. Darth Merle says, well, hello there. Well, hello there. After North America, the biggest market for Joker is the UK, with it grossing over $50 million here. That's actually very impressive for the UK. So shout out to the UK for giving that movie the money that it deserves, man. That film is, $700 million at this point. It's insane. It's awesome. It's so cool to see. Tina says, Star Crap Episode 9, The Rise of My Little Ponies. They wish it was that cool. Tina, they wish it was that cool. What are you talking about? They wish it was that cool. Chinaman says, I've only seen one Star Wars film, the first one, never seen the rest. I spared myself The Last Jedi disappointment. Yes. I would say you have no reason to watch the other sequel trilogies. I'm assuming you mean that you've only seen one of the newer films. I would say Force Awakens, leave it there. I mean, there's a lot of people that hate that film. I've always hated that film. I've always been kind of in the middle with it, saying, yeah, you know what? It's a rehashing of New Hope. It's not as good as A New Hope, but it's a rehashing. So, hey, at least it's somewhat safe. There are a lot of things in that film that don't make any sense, like Rey being a Mary Sue starting as early as that film. It looks like in this trailer, she's finally getting some formal training of some kind, which is, again, too little too late at this point, because she's already been able to do some of the greatest things any Jedi's ever done with no training at all, which, again, doesn't make any damn sense. So I would say, yeah, spare yourself the rest. Spare yourself the rest. Darth Morrill says, with Gemini Man being a disaster for Paramount, it's only going to get worse with Terminator Woke Fate releases. Yeah, I love how there are all these reviews coming out for Terminator Dark Fate, and they're all very positive. And anytime a review says, this is the best Terminator film since Terminator 2, that's not a very high bar to set. Because it still means it's not as good as Terminator 2, and there have been plenty of films that have been called as good as Terminator 2, including some people that said that about Terminator Genesis, by the way, and it ended up being a terrible film. So I'll have to wait until it actually comes out. Though when it comes out on All Saints Day next weekend, guess what? I'll probably end up going to see Harriet instead. The story about Harriet Tubman, which, if you've not seen the trailer for that, it actually looks quite entertaining, and I want to go to the movies to be entertained. Tina says, Tina says, Doomcock said when Rey swung down her lightsaber, she didn't go for Kylo Ren. She went for his lightsaber. She is an idiot. Well, we all know she can't fight. There have been plenty of people that have broken down the throne room scene in The Last Jedi, which has some of the worst choreography in history. And it's always hilarious to see any person that's involved in the stunts industry tear down that scene. Tech Guy says, hey, Odin, think the Emperor is a mech emperor? Here's the problem. The Emperor can only be alive in one logical way, or either two logical ways. I could see them do it. Either one, he's a clone, and he could be old. He could be also a mecha because of that, because he, is a clone, and his clone self got injured at some point. So that would be one way to make it work. The only other way you can make it work is if somehow you try and explain that as he's being thrown down the shaft into the energy that seemingly makes him evaporate into thin air, because it destroys him, right? The only other thing you could say is that he transports himself, which is something that has not been established in the Star Wars films up at this point, except for the case of course, Luke Skywalker projecting his image, but it was not a physical image. It was not a physical being. It was just the image itself. And we see very clearly that Vader is able to lift up the Emperor. It is the physical Emperor there. So the only two things that you can actually use to explain it would be he transports himself, which is stupid, and again, canon breaking. Oh, we can just instant transportation is now a part of the Star Wars universe, everybody. Or it's a clone, and I think that both are kind of weak sauce. Super Anime Gamer says, realistically, I shouldn't be doing homework as often as I do. I'm just bad at being an adult. And the worst part is my homework tonight is reading, and I have ADD as well. Well, if your homework is reading and you have ADD, I have ADD. I know what that means. If you're listening to this stream, you ain't reading. Alex McCarthy says, wrong, Odin, because of that Geeks and Gamers stream the other night. Geeks and Gamers is henceforth known as Pixels and Kindles. Yeah, dude. Pixelated Ryan has been a great meme. I've seen that flourish over the past several days. I'm so sad I was not a part of that stream, but all these streams, all these really awesome streams, I don't know what's wrong with these people. They're like, oh, 10 p.m. at night? That sounds like a great time to start streaming. And I'm like, I'm going to bed, man. I'm a teacher. You do that on the weekend maybe, and maybe I'll be there, but nah. Especially in a smaller house where my voice carries and I'm very loud, and my wife does not like that. Definitely would not be able to get away with it, that's for sure. All right, heading over to my D-Lab people for a second. Captain Dean High says, you're right. The hyperspace ram not only destroys ships, but destroys everything. You're right. It does. And therefore, there's no reason to have any movies anymore. Death Knight 123. Just so you know, I'm going to keep asking you every time you stream, have you seen What About Bob or listen to the Cars? The answer is still neither to both. Captain High says, Admiral Holdo, you mean Admiral still dressed to go to the opera? To the opera? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Captain Mr. Roy, thank you for the diamond donation, man. I appreciate you. And Captain Dean Heiss says, this is not the Star Wars you're looking for. You're right. It's not the Star Wars we're looking for. It's not the Star Wars that any of us want. G-Monkey76 says, Star Wars was destroyed when Disney bought it. Disney sucks. Yes, you're right. Disney does suck. However, I would say that they had potential. All right, they had all the potential in the world. They could have had a clean slate of films. They could have done a completely original story, but instead they were like, no, we want to make money. We want to bank off of nostalgia and then destroy it and then realize the mistake we've made all too late and then continue to destroy it, right? That's the Disney method of these things, right? That's the Disney method behind all of this, and it's been quite amazing to see. Tina says, there was music. I never heard any music, but I was too busy laughing my butt off, Space Horsies. Exactly, there was music. There was a very, very good score by John Williams, but if you listen to it, you're like, okay, this is the score I've heard before with maybe some new variations to it. But that's also what most of his scores have been in this new trilogy, you know? And obviously, I think there's a lot of positive elements to that because it does allow that nostalgia, element to remain. But also it does allow him to play around with it a little bit too. So if the movie was better, I think that I'd be a lot more forgiving of it, but the movie's not better. Let's see. Rosetta says, we need our Valhalla stream. It's more fun to give you crap to your face, and 3PO stuff was moronic. Yeah, the 3PO stuff was moronic. The Valhalla stream will probably be this weekend. Don't quote me on that. I'm trying to still figure that out. Tommy, Chewbacca 2. Yeah. Yep. Will Gentry says, to be fair, 3PO could have known Poe for a good length of time, but so far he's known Finn and Rey for about 5 days. Well, also, too, that's the thing. We don't know how long he would have known Poe for, right? That's not something that's really established or even made clear. And so that's why we look to this and we say, why should I care? You look to everything that happens in this trailer, you're like, why should I care about any of these characters? Why should I care about these unknowns that have had some of the worst development in history? And as I said before, it doesn't matter anyway because hyperspace ram them. It's easy. You've already established that it can happen. The First Order has already seen, because some survived that, right? Some know what happened. Some have heard of the Holdo maneuver. So just do it yourself, right? It doesn't make any damn sense. It's totally destroyed everything. It really has. The Last Jedi has done so much irreparable damage. It's just ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is crazy. I tell you. It is so crazy. Chewbacca 2. Got that one already. Dory the Hobbit says, are you going to review the new film called Countdown this week? I've never even heard of Countdown. I don't think it's coming to my city. Super says, I was never a super fan to begin with, but Disney killed any Star Wars hype I could have had. I have my Clone Wars, and that's what matters. Yeah, exactly right. Clone Wars, I would even put Rebels up there. I still thoroughly enjoy Rebels, and there's some people speculating that maybe Ezra Bridger is going to come into this film, and I'm just like, why should I care? They're just going to ruin it. They're just going to take another character that I love and destroy it. Why do I want to see that? Orange Hat says, R2-D2 never got a full memory wipe. I know that 3PO did, because it's established in canon, but I think it's insinuated that D2 it got some kind of wipe. Could be wrong on that, though. China Man says, favorite comic book characters? Give me 3. I'm curious to know. I'm not a comic book person, so all of my comic book characters that I like are going to be movies-based. So, of course, I love Batman. Again, it's going to be very stereotypical answers here as far as other comic characters. I love Batman, Iron Man, and Thor. I guess those would be my 3. But again, I'm not a comic book guy. Tina says, and the rebellion? Rebels? Resistance? They bred again like Dothraki. McQueen! JJ forgot Ryan wiped out most of the resistance in The Last Jedi, but they've grown because I guess the knowledge and the voice of Rey has spread. Well, to be fair, I think that's going to be the rebellion or resistance towards the end of the film, because if the Reddit leaks are to be believed, it seems like the earlier part of the film is them trying to get the message of Luke Skywalker out to the entire universe, and that is going to be the rallying cry that brings a bunch of people into the rebellion. So I think, or resistance. Again, at this point, I don't even care what they're calling it these days because it's all the same thing, and it's just stupid. But that would help explain why they are probably going to have a lot more people overall. Will Jenny says they could take any ship and hyperspace ram it into whatever planet the rebellion is gathered on. You're exactly right. They could literally do that. But what are they going to do? They're going to build another super weapon, or they're going to do what they're seeing the trailers are going to indicate, that they're just going to revive 1,000 billion different Star Destroyers that just magically come out of thin air. Oh, well, the Emperor's been taking years to plan this. Okay. And no one noticed the incredible amount of supplies that it's going to need to build those ships. Oh, we see it was built in the outer regions. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for that plot convenience. Apollo Patriot says, you seen 1917 war movie? It's the new World War I movie. Well, the movie's not out yet. I have seen the trailer for it. The trailer looks good. We're probably not getting the movie where I am until January, because I think it's getting a Christmas release, and it's a limited Christmas release. Jace Doe, what's going on, man? It says, what is up? What's everything wrong? With everything going wrong, Disney, they will tell you like Monty Python's Black Knight, and will tell you, tis merely tis but a scratch. A scratch? Your arm's off. No, it isn't. Look, it's just a flesh wound. And huge shout out to Jace Doe for sending me a bunch of the digital codes as well. Super Anime Gamer says, though, gotta give credit to the VFX and the new trailer look great. I can't wait to see how JJ cloned the crap out of everything on screen and finally put this thing out of its misery. You see, that's where I will agree and disagree. I think that the VFX team does a great job, but I think that the film is such VFX overload that it's a blur. You know, it's just a giant mess on screen. There is a point where you can use too much CGI, and this film seems to have too much CGI written all over it. And something tells me that it's just going to get worse as the movie actually comes out. If this is indeed the last, if this is indeed the last of the trailers, as they claim that it will be. I believe that it might. But if they're getting pretty desperate towards the end, you might see some small, because what usually happens is they've got the main trailers that come out, but then they've also got TV trailers, right? Usually ones that are about maybe 10, 20 seconds, where sometimes they have extra footage in there. I could see them releasing a bunch of those prior, and maybe even having some big reveals because they want to try and make as much money as possible. Carrie M, thank you very much for the follow on DLive. I appreciate it. Captain Heist says, they're called the Ray-sistance. Get it? The Ray-sistance. That's wonderful. And Salty, thank you for the follow as well. Bruce says, what's up? I looked up and you were not showing as being at 7 p.m. just a little bit ago. I went on to something else, but thought I'd double check. Glad I did. Well, welcome back, Bruce. And Bruce, I want to give a shout out to, because he sent me yet another film that I need to watch, and it's Enemy at the Gates, which is a film that I've never seen before. I did not know. It was Joseph Fiennes, Jude Law, Rachel Weisz, Bob Hoskins, and Ed Harris. It's a very, very good cast with also a very young Jude Law in there as well. So thank you very much for that film. Cannot wait to watch it. It'll go into the giant stack of films that I've got building up that one day I'll watch. I promise. I just don't know when. Oh, man. Tina says, oh, thank you, Tina, for letting them know. So if you want to contact me on YouTube, you have to put in Odin question. You don't have to put the @ symbol. Just type in Odin question, all one word. It'll pop up orange on my screen, and I'll know you're trying to get my attention. It just makes things easier. Darth Merle says, many Dark Fate reviews are being compared to The Force Awakens. Are we in for another uncreative remake? I would say so. Based on everything we've seen in the trailer, everything we've heard from the director, it seems very likely that the Dark Fate movie is just not going to be very good. China Man says, I've read some articles that say they are surprised Joker grossed a lot of money from international box office, but here in Morocco, we have Joker and Batman, very popular characters. Well, I think the reason why, too, is because these critics are so obsessed with the so-called incel narrative that in their minds, this movie could only ever appeal to white American audiences. Because that's what they believe, because they live in their ivory towers and they're complete idiots. And they don't realize that this type of message is something, and actually just even beyond message, that a good movie can transcend culture and time and be accepted by more than one person. They don't understand it. To them, a movie should only be successful in India if there's an Indian lead. It's the same mindset that's leading their current charge in Hollywood. Oh, we need to make more films with female leads because women can only connect with female leads, with only strong female leads. Or we need to make more films with more representation because that's the only way that any audience can actually connect with the movie. which is nonsense. That's silly. That's stupid. That Star Wars girl has made a great showing of this by saying one of her favorite characters of all time is Luke Skywalker, because Luke Skywalker is a character that most people, whether you're male or female, can connect with. It's amazing. Will Gentry, personally, I think Terminator 3 is the perfect end to that saga. Yeah, it's not the best film, but it's enjoyable and tied up the trilogy nicely, got everyone where they needed to be. Yeah, if you're talking about Rise of the Machines, sorry, I had to take care of something real quick. I was trying to give myself lumbar support, but it's just not comfortable. I would say that Rise of the Machines is a deeply flawed film. However, it's not the mess that Genesis was. I actually personally prefer Salvation more than the others. And the reason why is just because it's a film I can put on and say, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with this. Because at least John Connor is being John Connor. At least John Connor is being the leader that he was projected to be. Instead of the retcons and the changes and, oh, Judgment Day is happening again and again and again and again. We're stopping Judgment Day from happening, and now it's Judgment Day that's been happening for a while now, right? It's post-Judgment Day. And that was, to me, a very interesting concept because it's a place that no Terminator film had ever gone before and has never gone back to. So this film just looks like another retcon, in my opinion. It's like, okay, so Genesis was an utter failure, so now you're trying it again, and now you think that wokeness and diversity narrative that will be your saving grace. That's nonsense. Bruce says Harriet will be good if they keep modern wokeness out of it, and I hope they do. I really hope they do. I like the actress playing Harriet Tubman. She was in my favorite movie of last year, which was Bad Times at the El Royale. So I know that she's a very talented actress. We'll see what happens though. Darth Morrill says, I seriously don't understand this whole emotional thing between Rey and the Skywalkers. Hell, she's barely known them for a freaking week. Yeah, if you actually break down the timeline, they barely know each other, and yet she's close with them. Now, apparently this film is supposed to be taking place about a year or so, or several years after. I think that they made that point early on, that this film is taking place sometime after the events of The Last Jedi. I guess to try and put as much space as they possibly can without, retconning the entire film. But that's not enough, because the ideas and concepts that were laid out there are still true, and they still don't make any damn sense. Super says, to show how bad Dark Fate is, this is the Terminator movie, and I live on YouTube. I've only seen one ad for it, and I didn't even realize it was coming as so soon. This thing's gonna bomb. Yeah, seriously, I agree. This is a Terminator movie. They're trying to throw James Cameron's name all over it, even though it's been reported he was never on set. He's literally listed as a producer. And some people say, oh, he's been given a screenwriting credit. But when you dive into it, you're like, he's giving a co-credit, meaning that he could have done any amount of work, however little or large, and gotten credit for it. It seems to me more like he's being given credit because it's his story or it's his characters, and not because he's actually writing the actual screenplay by himself, because he's not. He's not the only screenwriting credit. So it's amazing that they're trying to spin this as his movie, and it's very clearly not. He's definitely not showing up for this film like he did for Alita Battle Angel, which was a film he produced, but obviously had a lot much more passion about. It's amazing, right? It's amazing how differences you can see. Laura says, Jedi can use the Force to stop themselves from falling, so I assume Sith can too. So Jedi can use this Force to stop themselves from falling. Yeah, but even then, right? Even in the movies that these Jedis fall, they still hit the ground. That's the thing, like that would not make sense, because you still have characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi who get thrown off and are able to land on their feet, but they're not able to float above the ground. At least that's not something that I can... Oh, sorry about that. That's not something I can really remember. If you can give me a clearer example, maybe I'll be able to respond to that. But here's the other thing, too, is that he's got nothing to hold on to, and even more so, he disappears. Meaning, he doesn't just disappear. You see him get fizzled up in the energy. You see him get destroyed. So it doesn't make any sense. The Emperor died in the Return of the Jedi. It's clear as crystal that he dies there, which is why the only way you could possibly explain it is either it's a clone or he transported himself somehow. Either way, it's really going to be hard for them to make that case. Very hard for them to make that case. Stephanie says, weak sauce, wink. Yeah, weak sauce. You damn right, Steph. You damn right. Sasha Neon says, so what will they do for those who are allergic to member berries and felt nothing for this trailer? There's nothing they can do. Really, at this point, it's too late. This was their opportunity to try and change the minds of the doubtful, And I don't think they were able to do it. Even people that have been critical of Star Wars, people even like Jeremy Jahns, have been very critical of the current state of Star Wars because he hates The Last Jedi. Even he says, you know what, I'm still going to see this film. But he was never on the opposite bandwagon, right? He was never, I'm not going to see this, or I'm going to wait and see what happens. He's always been, I plan to see this film at some point in time. And yet even he, in his review, you can hear just how unenthused he is about it. And I think that's something that has been really made very clear throughout a bunch of the YouTubers, and also just a bunch of fans too, that we're just not really enthused for what's going on and what we're seeing on screen. And I think that that's going to make a huge difference, I think, in its box office, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Captain High says, I personally don't want to see myself on screen. I'm just a boring white male. I know, right? I don't go to a movie because I'm like, oh, I get to see someone of my race and gender on screen. No one, I don't think anyone that thinks that way, you are belittling yourself. If you go into a movie because you're like, I want to see representation on screen, you are belittling yourself. You are reducing yourself to nothing more than your race or gender. You are making yourself less than what you are, if that's your mindset going into it. That's why when I go to see a movie, I'm like, does this character look badass or not? And badassery goes far past gender and far past race. As I like to give examples all the time, there's a movie called Peppermint that I loved. Terrible movie. Critics hated it. Strong female character. Strong female protagonist. I'm like one of the only persons that's actually talking about that damn movie. Because I thought it was very entertaining. I went because I was entertained and because it was not preaching to me, which is something that's very rare in Hollywood these days. China Man says, I have a friend, never went to a theater before, but went to see Joker. Joker is a character that is very popular in North Africa. That's interesting that part of the world will be so popular with it, but it also isn't, because it's just a damn good movie. And I think that good movies transcend all of those things. Darth Morrill says, by the looks of it, they are going to kill 3PO. Well, we all knew he couldn't last with the let the past die logic. Well, they've also made it clear that they're killing pretty much every original character. You know, they brought Lando back just so they could kill him. The Falcon is probably going to get destroyed in this film. 3PO is probably going to get destroyed. R2-D2 is probably, Chewbacca is going to die. They're going to kill everything. They're going to kill everything and everyone until all that's left is Rey and a bunch of Force Ghosts, because they're totally going with the Harry Potter ending. And that's the other big criticism of the trailer, is that at the very end, when she's looking out and you hear the voiceover of the Force will be with you always, and you hear it's Luke and Leia, you know that she's looking at their Force Ghost. You can see the reflection in her eyes. You're like, okay, she's looking at something glowing. Okay, that's going to be Force Ghost. So now the Reddit leaks have been confirmed, at least in some cases. And one of the Reddit leaks stated that what's going to happen is before she defeats Palpatine, which will happen and she will do it, she's going to get help and advice from a bunch of Force Ghosts, including Leia, Luke, and possibly others as well. There's been some rumors and speculation that they might even have the voice of Ahsoka Tano in there, and it'd be interesting to see who they have playing that character. If they indeed have the full Force Ghost and not just the voice. But also you're like, man, they're throwing everything they can to try and make people leave the film saying, oh my gosh, it's so good. When it's just going to be hollow, right? It's going to be all flash and no substance. Apollo Patriot says, you think Commander Cody pop up in the new Star Wars movie? And what's your thoughts on it, Odin? On the new movie, it just looks like the fact that they have made it clear they have no plans to correct any of the mistakes in The Last Jedi. It can't be good. By that very fact, narratively, it's already going in broken. And unless you fix the brokenness, you can't go on. And if you're not going to fix the brokenness, then it's just, there's no point at that. Commander Cody, I can see them doing that. I think they will throw some bones. I think that they will have a Clone Wars or Rebels reference in here. You've already seen the images of the Ghost, or something that looks like the Ghost at the very least. So I think they're definitely going to try and make that argument. I think it's too late. I think it's too little too late at this point. And I hope the audiences speak volumes at the box office. But as I made a point in my video today, if they're able to get The Lion King to make $1.6 billion, a Star Wars movie, I don't know. I feel like that they could do a lot of things, especially with their cozy little relationship with China. Something tells me that they might make some money. If all I can say is this, the number I will be looking at most closely from the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker release is the number from China. Because if the movie performs better than Solo, Rogue One, Last Jedi, something's up. Because every Star Wars film since Disney has taken over has made less and less and less in China, almost in order. Every film in order has made less. So The Force Awakens made the most, Rogue One made the second most, Last Jedi made the next most, and then it was Solo: A Star Wars Story, which actually got pulled 2 weeks early, or only after 2 weeks because it was performing so poorly. I don't think it's going to do Solo bad, because there were a lot of issues that were affecting Solo, but does that mean then that it probably won't make as much as The Last Jedi? And if it does make more, will it make more than Rogue One? And if it makes more than Rogue One, will it be the second highest grossing Star Wars film? And then how does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? Unless something's up. And you know me, I don't trust China or Disney. Orange Eye Review says, did you notice the Falcon has a round dish again and not its rectangular one from episodes 8 and 9? Mistake or intentional? Probably a bit of both. Probably a bit of both. Also, I need to give a shout out to Reed Palancia, who donated at the very end, I think, of the last stream that we did. They donated a $40 super chat, donation rather, through Streamlabs. So thank you very much, Reed Palancia. I'm sorry that it didn't come through in time. And Reed Palancia says, liberty has never come from government. Liberty has always come from the subjects of it. The history of liberty is a history of limitations of governmental power, not the increase of it. Woodrow Wilson, it would appear business can be the same. Yes, absolutely. Too much power in the business world right now. Alex McCarthy says, even Raw last night was more enjoyable than the Rise of Skywalker trailer. That's pretty bad. I've been listening to the results on the podcast today that I've been listening to, and it does not sound very good. Bobby Den, thank you for the ice cream donation, bruv, over on D-Live. I appreciate it. Super says, Harriet looks awesome and found out not too long ago there's a movie about Tesla coming out this weekend called The Current Wars with Benedict Cumberbatch. So I'm excited. Yeah, it sounds like an indie film. Wish that it was playing near me, but I don't think it is. Irish Bots, thank you very much for the super chat. Irish Bots says, we all know that J.J. Abrams is a hack, but the degree of hackery from him based on the high probability of the leaks being true is utterly astonishing. Briefly, the heroes find MacGuffin. Okay, so it looks like Irish Bots is going to be sending several super chats to try and explain the point. So let me just start one more time for Irish Bots. So thank you again for another super chat, Irish Bot. So Irish Bot says this, we all know that J.J. Abrams is a hack, but the degree of hackery from him based on the high probability of the leaks being true is utterly astonishing. Yeah, I think there's definitely a point that can be made about how true and how closely these leaks have been to what is actually going to happen. So he goes on, briefly. The heroes find a MacGuffin that they give to a droid, which allows them to determine the location of another character that is in hiding, whom they can now get to. The creative bankruptcy of J.J. Abrams is so fetid for The Rise of Skywalker, he is ripping off the plot of the J.J. Abrams script for The Force Awakens. That's a very good point. You're right. The MacGuffin of there being hidden information on a droid, which, remember, is the exact same plot of what happened during The Force Awakens when there was the map, the missing piece of the map that they needed that was on R2-D2 the entire time. You're right. He's stealing from himself. That is totally hackery. And as I said before, I'm not an all-around JJ hater. There are some things that he's done that I've liked, but he's notorious for borrowing things, right? Sometimes he borrows well, sometimes he borrows very poorly. And so now he's borrowing from himself. So yeah, the fact that the leaks have been accurate to this point either means, one, someone's been given good information and has been very accurate in their leaks, or that JJ has become so predictable that it's astonishing. I really can't wait to find out the truth once the movie itself comes out. And if we can find out a little bit more, just a little bit more about where the leaks came from, and also if indeed it was someone that happened to make them up, because that would be amazing. The best thing that could happen is if that were to turn out to be true. Holy crap, we almost have 200 people watching tonight, so thank you so much for watching the channel. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. Simple request from a simple man, as Jeremy likes to say all the time over at Geeks and Gamers, and it's true. Back to the YouTube chat. Remember, if you have a comment on YouTube, just put Odin question, all one word, Odin question, and I will read your comment. You do not have to super chat for me to read your comment. That's one thing that I try and do the best I can, but because I read the comments, it means that I will fall behind. So right now, I'm about 20 minutes behind in the chat. So If you're wondering why I'm not reading your comment now, it's because I still got, some time to get there. But also, it looks like that there are indeed some comments that may have gotten skipped prior to 728, because that's where I am in the chat with Dory DeHobbit's comment. It says, you feel Maleficent 2 surpassed 400 million in worldwide box office. It did not have a strong opening. So Maleficent 2 had a very weak opening, which is not surprising to me personally. And actually, the Monday box office, get this, Joker beat out Maleficent in the Monday box office. Maleficent indeed won number one at the weekend. However, it fell short of expectations, and it had a tremendous drop-off from Sunday to Monday. In fact, the drop-off was so steep that Joker, which has now been out for over 3 weeks, was able to beat it at the Monday domestic box office. Currently, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is at $157.3 million. The problem for Maleficent coming up, though, is the fact that you've got two pretty decently sized films coming out, Black and Blue and Countdown. Those are films that are coming out at 2,000 and 2,600 theaters specifically. The Current War, director's cut. So there's actually a director's cut of this, interestingly enough. This is getting a nationwide release, but that does not tell us how many theaters. That does not mean it'll be at all theaters. There's also a few other independent films coming out, including a film by Kanye West called Jesus is King, which Kanye West, Jesus is King, should be interesting. So really, it's got one more weekend to perform before it gets great competition from movies like Harriet and Dark Fate. Now, even though I think Dark Fate is going to flop, I don't think anyone's going to deny that Dark Fate will likely get number one at the box office, or at least get close to it. You've got 3 films coming out, giant films coming out that weekend. Arctic Dogs, which to me sounds like a kid's movie, so those tend to do very well with families. You also have Harriet coming out, which I personally plan to see opening night even. And then, of course, Dark Fate itself. Week after that, Dr. Sleep, Last Christmas, Midway, and Playing with Fire. So there are a lot of things coming out over the next few weeks, which really don't leave much room for Maleficent to make much more money. So do I think, getting back to the original question, do I think that it's going to get past 400 million? It will be very hard. It's only made 118 million currently, and it's gotten its China release. It made 22.6 million in China opening weekend. That is pretty anemic. It probably will not have a good second weekend there. So yeah, I would say it would be very hard for Maleficent to make the $400 million mark. Absolutely would be hard. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Odin, I can connect to you only because you're a white Christian male. Of course, right? Of course. That's the only reason why. Everyone watching the stream must be a white Christian male. Not. We know that's not true. Christopher Stanley. Chris Stanley, thank you for the $5 donation. Says, Hail Odin. I'm driving home, not at the moment, so I appreciate listening to the stream. Well, Chris Stanley, thank you very much for the donation. And yes, make sure your eyes stay on the road, good sir. But thank you for the donation, man. And thank you for using Streamlabs. It really does make a difference. Thank you so much. Going back to the regular chat, Lacey Tano says, do you think they're going to have Ewoks in the movie? I would not put it past him. There are very clearly planets that are much like the moon of Endor, right? There's definitely a planet that's like the moon of Endor. There's definitely other planets that are very similar to the ice planets in previous. Like there literally are planets that all seem to be throwbacks or call-outs or shout-outs to planets from the original trilogy. And you can tell that they are doing everything they can to try and make those connections happen, because they know the only thing that's going to make them any money on this movie is pure nostalgia. Now, whether they are going to have this, whether they are actually going to bring this about, I have no idea. It truly is amazing. It truly is amazing. But Ewoks, definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility. Lazy Tano says, do you think... Okay, got that one already. Alice McCarthy says, Always Sunny did an episode recently, and they hit the nail on the head with what's wrong with everything in Hollywood today. Season 14, episode 2, whenever you feel like checking it out. Yeah, I'm very far behind in that series. I really like It's Always Sunny. I've always been a big fan. Definitely fallen behind a little bit, but I'm very excited to catch up with it. China Man says, my favorite franchise is Harry Potter. Big fan of that wonderful world. J.K. Rowling ruined it with Crimes of Grindelwald. Characters been thrown without development. The writing was awful. Oh, yeah, it was really bad. Even my wife, who is a huge Harry Potter fan, books, of course, before movies. Books are king and queen in her world. She loves the franchise. So she was very excited when the films were originally announced. She overall enjoyed the first Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And then she was kind of excited to see the second film. We get out of the second film, and I look at her, and I'm like, what do you think? And she was like, nah, she can't defend it. So she can't defend it anymore. It's really gone off a very steep ledge, unfortunately. Lacey Tanner says, my theory is they're going to have Kylo be in love with Rey, but Rey is an independent woman that don't need no man, so she's going to break his heart and he'll sacrifice himself to save her. I don't think the romantic component's going to be a part of it at all. I feel like they've made it very clear in their interviews with each other that it's nonsense. They're not going to give any leeway to the Reylo creepy community out there. There was one image that was floating around the internet from Reylo. It was art, and it was disturbing. It was pornographic and it was disturbing, and I was really upset to see it on my Twitter feed. I had to unfollow, or rather not unfollow. I had to mute some people because I was like, I can't see this image anymore. This is just not cool. It's not cool for this to be on my Twitter feed right now. So I don't think they're going to entertain that. I really don't. If there's anything that they might have some class on, it's the Reylo nonsense. So I think that they're not even going to try. They're not even going to tease it at all. They're not even going to tease the idea of that being a possibility. I think it's simply going to be that they're connected to each other. Hey, they may even make it where they're related. Totally could see that happening too. And he'll sacrifice himself out of that and not out of a romantic feeling. Because I really don't get any sense of romance when I look at those two in the actual movies that they're in. Slice of Neon says, a moment of silence for all the relationships that have ended and will end because the date was at a terrible movie like Episode 9 or Woke Fate, R.I.P. Yeah, that is indeed a very sad, very sad thing indeed. Let's see. Over on DLive, Death Knight 123 says, as much as I hate Rian Johnson for what he did to Star Wars, his new Knives Out movie looks okay. Should I see it when it comes out? That's totally up to you, Death Knight. I don't control you. I don't control what you do. I can tell you that I don't plan to see it because I'm boycotting that man, personally, because I think that he is full of himself, and I don't want that movie to personally succeed. I really just don't want it to succeed because it's going to send the wrong message to him and to other Hollywood producers that are going to say, oh, look, he makes money. Oh, look, he's a box office sensation. Last thing that any of us want, especially as Star Wars fans, when he is just so close to being kicked out of having his trilogy officially. So I'm going to try and help that along and help speed that along as fast as I possibly can. And then he says, or should I wait and pirate it? If you really want to see it, here's the thing. If you really want to see it, go see it. Again, I can't stop you from doing that, and I don't think anyone in our community is ever going to say, oh, you can't go see it. You know, we try not to gatekeep. I'm not perfect at that, right? But if I'm ever called out on it, I always admit to it, mea culpa, right? Because I don't want to be that person. So I'm not going to gatekeep you on that. If you want to go see the movie, you go see the movie, man. If that's something that you want to see, you go ahead. I'm just telling you what my thought is, right? I'm just telling you what I plan to do, and that's, just not see the film, or rather, specifically, not pay hard-earned money to see the film, and more likely than not, do the OMB way, right? And give the theater money, because the theater deserves my money, and then walk in to that theater. So take that for what you will. Allegedly, of course. This is all allegedly. And do what makes you happy. Really, that's what it comes down to, Death Knight. Do what makes you happy. As long as you don't harm another individual, do what makes you happy. Stephanie B says, clear as crystal. China Man says, Hollywood screwed over Orson Welles so many times and cut his films. Despite all of that, his films were great. Imagine was given the opportunity to do a film with a complete control. Oh, dude, if Orson Welles was given the opportunity to do that, we would have some of the greatest cinema of all time. And I'm hoping that the more we discover of the original prints of various films, the closer we might be able to get to some idea of an original cut of one of the films that he made. Bruce says, all we saw was a flash of lightning flow up the tube. Zach Gregg says, I hope South Park brings back member berries. I do as well. And I hope that they continue to call out China. That's been my favorite new development on South Park, is how they're calling out China. Because China deserves to be called out. Larry says, why are we trying to make sense of the Disney Star Wars crap fest? Because it's just what we do, man. We do everything we possibly can. Because at the end of the day, we still love Star Wars. We don't like Disney Star Wars, but we still love Star Wars. It's the IP that we love. It's the IP that we want to return to greatness. and we will hold out hope against hope at any time we can. But it's not looking very good. It's not looking very good at this point. The thoughts are not quite high at this point. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, horses on Star Destroyers, Gondor calls for aid. Oh, you're right about that. Now, if they can have someone blowing a horn on one of those space horses, now that would be a call for Gondor. Irish Bots, thank you again for another super chat. Irish Bot says, has anyone done a mashup poster of the sequel trilogy and Twilight Saga? If not, can the Phantom Menace run a competition? Sparkles will be crucial. You are more than welcome to try. I have no skill when it comes to that. Look at my thumbnails. My thumbnails are atrocious. I have very little skill when it comes to creating anything when it comes to, the visuals, right? When it comes to, what's the term for it? Not creative writing. I'm forgetting the name of it. But anyway, anything that deals with visuals, right? Anything that deals with Photoshop or things like that. I have no knowledge in. Crazy Eye Jedi says, do you think Disney decided which fan base to cater to? I'll let you make that decision. Alex McCarthy says, maybe good old Pappy just broke his hip on the fall, or he is some sort of force poltergeist. Yeah, it could be that. Still would be stupid. Jaggedy Buck says, hello. Sorry I've been away for so long. I won't be watching the rise of Skywalker. Charlie Brown is on tonight in 25 minutes. Gonna watch it with my kid. Bless you, sir. God bless you, JKD Buck, and enjoy old school Charlie Brown. Enjoy that. DZ3. There is a Dark Fate review on YouTube. Basically, he says it was meh and do not care about the new characters. It was more objective than the blue check marks on Twitter. Yeah, I really don't believe the reviews that came out on Twitter because they read like fake reviews. They read like Access Media reviews of, oh my gosh, it's the greatest thing ever not since Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is a movie that was referenced constantly in those reviews, which tells me one thing. They're trying to create a narrative. They do that all the time. And nowadays, more of us tend to be able to call out their BS and say, nah, I'm calling BS on that. I think you're full of it. And I'm calling BS on them. I think that they are completely full of it. Said to be spelled out badassery. Mr. Dr. Professor Wingster says, Sean Bean has time to die in nearly all his movies, but Odin doesn't have time to watch all the movies on his list. Yeah, seriously. Venom Broly says, only Namek, Sajin and Guy Without Nose should be allowed to watch Dragon Ball since they will be represented. Nessa Nason says, has anyone looked into Atom, the unknown company that people are buying tickets for TROS through? It just seems like a really fishy situation. Atom Tickets has actually been around for a decent while at this point. I've used Atom Tickets before. They are not a sketchy organization at this point. I believe them when they say that. The fact that we were able to people try to go to Fandango and they were put on a wait list and there were sites that were crashing, I believe that a lot of people went out to buy it. But that is true for any big, giant movie, right? Especially a movie that got a primetime slot during a football game, right? So I believe that. I believe that people were going out of their ways to buy the tickets. The question is, can they keep up the momentum? And even more importantly, can they sell tickets on the day? Because remember, pre-sales are part of the story. Sometimes they're a good indication, but as we learned in the case of Solo: A Star Wars Story, pre-sales aren't everything, because that film flopped, and that film had great pre-sales. So Atom Tickets is not the problem there. It's the normie audience that's still showing up and trying to buy tickets. Mr. Dr. Wingster says, Jeremy has time to be white supremacist who hates women, but Anna has no time to stop defending bad movies. What? Bruce says, I saw Roots, Shaft Original, Blackula Blade, Black Panther because of the strong white male leads. Oh, man. That's loaded. CW Trixie says, when something strange in the galaxy. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. When something's strange in the galaxy and it don't look good. No, when something's strange in the galaxy and it don't look good. Wait, that's not. Wait, what? Am I at the wrong verse or something? When there's something strange in the galaxy, who are you gonna call? Ghostbusters? I don't know. I think I got the wrong verse on that one because it's always when there's something strange in the neighborhood. Who are you gonna call? You had an extra verse there, it looked like. Zion Waters says, the whole trilogy was broken with The Force Awakens when they reset the galaxy to the status quo, undoing any accomplishment of Return of the Jedi. That is actually a very good point. Very good point. Shia, thank you very much for the follow over on DLive. Or Shia says, Odin. What's up, Shia? How's it going? And also, Death Knight 123 says, I've decided to pirate it now. Allegedly, you've decided to pirate it. I don't want to call you out on that. China Man says, to be honest, we don't have the woke culture acting in our country. So when I see with U.S. film or TV target a specific subject, I don't pay attention to it unless it's very forced in the dialogue. Yeah, I think that it seems to me, because I know we've had a lot of interactions in the chat and also on Twitter, China Man, and I think that when it really comes down to is that because that's not really a part of your culture, a lot of the references that we tend to get and pick up as Americans is something that might go over your head because it's just, there's no context there, right? And so that's why I think that you actually have a lot more leeway when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we talk about because it's not prevalent in your country. Professor Wingster says, Ray saying, no one knows me, felt like a jab to the fans' thoughts. I think it could have been. I have no confirmation of that. I think that's a line that could be used in a wide variety of ways, but I could see how we could definitely read that as people trying to explain who I am, and they don't know who I am. You're right. We don't know who you are, so why should we care about you? In fact, Ray's line that you just mentioned is the perfect summary of the entire Star Wars universe. No one knows me. No one really knows who I am. People feel like they know me, but they don't. You're right. We have no idea who the hell you are or why we should care about you. You're powerful for no reason. You're given no interesting backstory at all. Oh, you're great with a lightsaber. Oh, you can fly the Millennium Falcon with no training at all, with no actual history of flying ships. Oh my goodness. But we're supposed to care about you? But you're one of the persons that 3PO is going to say, I just want to see my friends. I just wanted to say goodbye to my friends for one last... No. Lord, that's actually a great line for you to remind me of because it just reminds us why we don't care about Rey. Tina says, make me a promise along with any of you going to see that mess. You will photograph in detail those half-empty theaters with sold-out seats, just saying tinfoil hat in place. Yeah, that's definitely some tinfoil hat. I'm still, you know me, I'm still not aboard the conspiracy of tickets being bought out. I know that there's a lot of people that have proof or claim to have proof and etc. I wouldn't put it past Disney or any other studio to try that. I just don't really buy into it because I think there's too many logical ways to explain it. However, I will definitely show you the crowd. Anytime I go to a premiere, I always show the crowds. And I can say this much. The last time that a woke film came out, there was a crowd. I can't remember what film it was, but I remember being at the theater saying, hey, it's actually pretty crowded here. Right? So I try and stay objective when it comes to that stuff because obviously it's easy for us to try and read into things. But remember this, because the most recent one was Captain Marvel, and that was the one I'm talking about. Captain Marvel had actually a very good showing opening night. There were a lot of people showing up to see Captain Marvel opening night. I remember going to the theater to cover that, and yet there were many theaters that had empty seats. Empty seats. And the reason why is because it was a Marvel film that was a standard Marvel release that they put in more theaters than it needed to be in. And because it was in more theaters than it needed to be in, that means that it had a lot of half-empty theaters because it had too many. That's what I think, at the very least. Bruce says, all they had to do was have Luke rematerialize a moment after the screen faded to black from the last movie. I think we would all be good with it. I think that most people would probably accept that as being a logical thing. However, it doesn't take away the hyperspace RAM, which to me is the bigger problem. I think that is the bigger problem overall. John Early says, I was so disinterested in The Rise of Skywalker that I've never even watched the final trailer all the way through. I'd rather watch Man of Steel again or wait for digital HD. Man, that's a pretty powerful statement there. Rosetta Allen says, side note, remember the stream the trolls hit? It changed me on the algorithm and doubled my viewership. Followers getting notifications now. The trolls defeated themselves. That's pretty awesome. Congratulations on that, Rosetta. Mark Lazur says, I hummed the Magnificent Seven theme when I saw the horses on the Star Destroyer. That's quite appropriate. Size of Neons, as little as they make in China, I would snub China and not air it there. If I were in charge, they'd save money. Yeah, I think you're right. But you know what? We all know how close China and Disney are together. Disney will not call out China for their communist nonsense, so they'd rather just take the money. Take the money and run. Take the money and run. We got 234 people in chat. What are you waiting for? Smash that like button. You're amazing. Just so you know, if you're new to the channel, that I read the comments in the chat. The way it works is that if you're on YouTube, if you put the comment Odin question, if you spell out Odin, O-D-I-N, question, Q-U-E-S-T-I-O-N, all one word, what will happen is that your message, when you put that, it'll pop up as orange. And that gives me the indication that you're trying to get my attention. That means I can read your comment or your question, and you don't have to worry about super chatting. If you want to super chat, it's a much faster way of getting my attention. And also, of course, it's very appreciated for the channel, but you don't have to. It's one of the things I pride on my channel. But because I read comments, and most of the streams are me reading comments and questions, we fall behind. And so right now I'm at 7:49 in the chat. It's 8:03, so I'm about 13 minutes behind or so. And it looks like some comments may have gotten skipped. And if that happens, I'm sorry. But if your comment was before Alex McCarthy at 7:49, and I didn't read it already, and you've been listening the whole time, you might need to put it again. If none of those things apply to you, please do not put your message again. Alex McCarthy says, Odin question, is said Raylo image that got memed with Ryan, Jeremy, and EVS? If so, yeah, it was disturbing. I don't know if it's that one, but there was one that was pretty disturbing. Bruce says, oh my eyes, I just typed in Raylo images and looked. Yeah, don't look at those. You can never come back from that. You can never come back from that. HyperNex13, it's hilarious how Francis Ford Coppola is now getting a bad rap because of agreeing with Martin Scorsese on the MCU films. At least he likes Spider-Verse, so what's the big deal? The big deal is that they can't stand the fact that filmmakers are calling out the big budget cookie cutter nonsense. That's what they can't stand, because they know that Scorsese means something in the eyes of film fans, of like actual film fans, right? People that love true cinema, that love the history of film. People like Tina, I would say, are a great example. You know, film aficionados, you could say. People also respect Francis Ford Coppola. And the fact that those people are coming out saying, yeah, these movies, even though they make it clear we appreciate the work that goes into them, are cookie cutter nonsense. And they don't really add anything to the cinematic world other than maybe visual effects. And even then, it's, again, at the expense of the story. Nason says, JJ can't retain the little credibility he has by having Raylo be romantic in nature. He is not beyond teasing it, though. His wife is an architect of the hashtag MeToo movement. Oh, for sure. And that's why they've never made a clear declaration on that, because they're entertaining it. They're allowing it to stay to the imagination. Something tells me that this one, because I think, honestly, Kylo is going to die in this one, is going to be the one movie that finally ends that nonsense. But, of course, they'll continue on, because fan fiction really never dies. Soul Assassin says, is Orson Welles the guy who caused the whole War of the Worlds fiasco in the 40s? Yeah, he was the one that read. So it was a dramatized reading of War of the Worlds, and Orson Welles is the one that was reading it on the radio broadcast, and people heard it, and it was so well done because it was a actual performance where they had sound effects and screaming and all this other stuff. It was such a well done performance that people actually thought it was happening. Yep, that's the guy. CAF Productions, what's going on, bro? Bruce says, OMG, just think of all of the companies that South Park can call out for doing business in China. Oh, it's true. Oh, it's damn true. Dory the Hobbit says, Rise of Skywalker will not suck. I have faith in Jar Jar Abrams. Really? Dory the Hobbit, I think that your faith is misplaced. Your faith is misplaced. Graphic Design, Perth Comics, thank you. Hologram, Nunchuck, and also Larry, Perth Comics. Thank you so much. Yes, I was thinking of graphic design earlier. That shows you how far behind I am in the chat, by the way, because that was a comment from a conversation a while ago. Jumping over back to the D-Live, Death Knight 123 says, it's okay, you can call out the FBI. Will never find me anyways. Okay, Death Knight. Kathleen High says, did I actually see Rey crack a smile in the trailer? You may have. She makes some interesting faces. That's all I can say. She makes some interesting faces. Captain Mr. Roy says, I watched the Fanatic last weekend. John Travolta deserves an Oscar. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. If you've never seen The Fanatic, do yourself a favor and watch it. Just know this. It stars John Travolta, and it is written and directed by Fred Durst. Fred Durst is the lead singer of Limp Bizkit. That's all you need to know. That is all that you need to know. It is truly the room of our decade. If you've ever seen Tommy Wiseau's The Room, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Fanatic is this decade's version, and it's wonderful. Will Gender says, what do you honestly think Rise of Skywalker will be like? I personally think it'll be an overfilled mess, but it'll be passable. I predict a C-grade movie that'd be enough for people that if it wasn't The Last Jedi. I think probably something similar. I think it's going to be Endgame. I think it's going to be Endgame, where everyone who sees it, who is a mark, for lack of a better term, is going to come out of it saying, oh my gosh, it was one of the greatest things ever. But then when you actually think about the story and everything, you'll say to yourself, well, it actually wasn't that good. It actually had some flaws. The difference, of course, being Endgame was a part of a pretty decent franchise, right? Pretty decent run of films, whereas this one hasn't. So I think it's going to be similar. I think it's going to be very, very similar. CI Production says, The Last Jedi makes an animal rights message. The Rise of Skywalker uses animals in war. Am I the only one who's noticed the hypocrisy? That's actually a really good point that I have not heard yet. Well done, sir. China Man says, saw your letterbox and I've seen The Fanatic among your list. I went to watch it and I was shocked. I said to myself, how Odin liked this? Then I got it after seeing the stream. Yes. So you have to watch the whole movie first, because when you watch the whole movie and you realize just how amazingly bad it is, that's why I love it. That's why it's in my top 10 of the year so far, because of how amazingly bad it is. I know it's a bad movie, but it's amazingly bad. Anthem, what's going on, Anthem 21? It's been too long. He says, here's my trailer takeaways. 1, no Knights of Ren. Excellent point. 2, no Luke Skywalker. We do hear his voice. And 3, no keeping Palpatine dead. No reason to see. Yes, I agree with that for sure. And it does seem like they are bringing Palpatine back. Who knows how they're going to justify that? As I said, the only way it can work is if he's a clone or if he can somehow transport after falling. Because if he didn't transport, pretty sure it's clear in in Return of the Jedi that he gets evaporated by that energy he falls into. Pretty sure it's clear he dies, but what do I know? I'm just someone that's seen the movie. Alice McCarthy says, according to J.J. Abrams, the one thing that can defeat a barrage of Star Destroyers is horses. Space horses. And Ryan Johnson would say hyperspace trams. Bruce says, Clown TV did a bit on how many 5-star reviews for Maleficent 2 got from new Avatar user accounts. Oh, okay. Oh, I bet it was a lot. I bet it was plenty. CI Production says, have you heard of the pixelated Ryan Trent on Geeks and Gamers? Imagine one of his freeze-frame photos as his reaction to the trailer. Yep, I have seen it, and it's been wonderful. China Man says, A24 seems to give us great films. Loved Midsommar and Good Time. The Lighthouse is there next. I have a feeling that the film is something unique. Well, A24 is just like any other production company. They've got good films, and they've got bad films. I would say that Midsommar I've heard good things about. I still need to see it. Also, Good Time. Robert Pattinson, I heard, is very good in that film, and now he's a part of another A24 film in The Lighthouse. I actually had a chance to see it last night with my buddy, the Flick Pick, John Flickinger, and unfortunately, because it was storming pretty bad, I decided not to go, and now I'm kind of regretting it because he said it was amazing. He put that up there with Joker for his favorite movies of the year, or at the very least, favorite movie-going experiences of the year. So I've heard excellent things about it, and I trust his opinion on a lot of things. I've been watching him for a long time, and very rarely do I disagree with his opinion on films. And so, yeah, I'm actually very excited. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's coming out near me anytime soon, so hopefully we get it at some point. Ungolian of Amathar says, according to Wikipedia about Atom Tickets, on February 1st, 2016, they announced a completed Series B round of financing from investors that include the Walt Disney Company. Yeah, that's definitely something that is probably true. It's Wikipedia, though, so you obviously always want to check the sources. I assume that it's true. That being said, I don't think that, once again, it's a lie that they've sold a crap ton of movie tickets to Rise of Skywalker. I believe it. There are enough people out there that still like Star Wars. There are enough people out there that still enjoy this current state. That's something that we need to always remember. We sometimes need to try and get out of our bubble, because it can feel like everyone hates The Last Jedi and everyone hates the current state. I would say many people hate The Last Jedi, and now even more people are starting to hate it the more that they think about it, right? I think that it's something that more people have kind of realized over time. But there are still a lot of people out there that enjoy it, and that is something that we cannot simply ignore. If you fall into that camp, you will be one of those persons that looks at their opening weekend and says, oh my God, I did not see that coming. I'm not going to be the person saying it's going to flop, it's going to flop, it's going to flop, it's going to flop, because I know that there's a very good chance that it will not and that it'll actually make lots of money. So, and that's not because I want it to happen. It's just because of the nature of the world. The normie audience is very strong, sadly. Gabriel Alejandro Pandiero Rodriguez says, hi, Odin. After watching the Rise of Skywalker trailer, I have never felt the desire to see a film to fail so badly like this abomination. I think a lot of people in this chat feel very similar. Bruce says, wouldn't be surprised if Disney has something to do with the high pre-sales for Star Wars 9. I am not jumping on that bandwagon, I'll just say right now. Cia Production says, Odin has time to toss his Captain Marvel Blu-ray, but not time to destroy his Captain Marvel Blu-ray. Actually, I did destroy a Captain Marvel Blu-ray. It was on Friday Night Tights. It was in celebration of Jeremy hitting 200,000 subscribers over on Geeks and Gamers. I still have the pieces left over from when I destroyed it. I crumpled it up live on air. I folded it multiple times. It was quite fun. So here is the case. Oh, pieces just fell out. So there's that. And then here's the pieces of the Blu-ray. So, yeah, it has been destroyed. I do have another copy of the movie that I do plan to destroy. I need to make sure that no pieces are on the floor because my dogs might eat it, and I don't want my dog's health to be put at risk because of this stupid movie. I do still have another copy of the film to destroy, though, so definitely will be something that will happen. Cia Production says, Jeremy has time to create the pixelated Ryan meme, but not to invite Odin onto the High Council. Well, since Jeremy's technically officially no longer a part of the High Council, it is what it is. Rhaegar Targaryen says, after seeing the trailer, I thought the movie should be called Star Wars: The Rise of the Color Blue. It was pretty blue heavy. Will Gentry, what you said to Chinaman is true. I know someone who doesn't pick up on that stuff and has no ill will to Roundhead. She loved Knives Out as a result because she's not looking for that stuff. Yeah. And that's why it's important for us to try and always separate. I would say it's always important for us to separate our objective and subjective points of view. Sometimes it can be very hard to do so, but I think it's important for us to at least try, right? And that's why I think that objectively speaking, I might be able to say some kind things about that movie while subjectively hating it, right? And that's why I will definitely try and separate in my review of the film, hey, here's my objective thoughts on the quality of the film, acting, writing, cinematography, etc., and here's what I subjectively think. Because I think that there is definitely a case where we can have that separation, right? It's important for us to not become our worst enemies. Again, definitely important for us not to become our worst enemies. All right, looks like we had a troll in the chat. I'll have to talk to my Valkyrie about that later because all I see is message deleted because on the version that I'm currently looking at, I don't have access to see any of the deleted messages. So, Valkyrie, just let me know what was going on with a guy named Luke in the chat, and I would appreciate it. All right, the chat jumped on me once again. Very sorry about that. So currently I am at 8:03 in the chat. It's 8:15 where I am. But before I get into the YouTube chat, just one more look over to the DLive chat, my DLive people. Shia says, do you think Rise of Skywalker is going to add another Rose Tico type of character? Yeah, her name is Rose Tico. Who, here's the thing. Kelly Marie Tran is a stunning individual in every way. And yet they're able to make her look terrible. And I don't know how they do it. And it's very sad. Dunnight123 says, you know how the disaster artist shows the process of the making of the room? Well, they should do that with The Last Jedi. Yes, absolutely. And Captain High says, what's on your shirt? Ahsoka Tano. This is actually a Geeks and Gamers shirt. I am no Jedi. Damn right. China Man says, I think it's because it isn't part of our culture. Okay, wait. Because we were raised differently, so I judge only the filmmaking side of a project. If someday you visit Morocco, go to Marrakesh. Food is great. Well, thank you for the recommendation. Don't know if I'll ever be in the area of Morocco, but you never know. Andy Hayes says, would you have preferred it if the theory the Mike from Red Letter Media came up with involving time travel over the Reddit plot leaks? I have not heard his I have not heard his idea, so I cannot say. I prefer neither. David S. says, I'll watch original trilogy of Star Wars while watching episode 9 on my smartphone. That's your call, man. Gabriel Alejandro, speaking of rumors, says, it seems that Doomcock and Jeremy's sources are in conflict whether this film has a lot of reshoots or not due to Doomcock's recent video. I've not seen Doomcock's most recent video. However, I do have a statement about Doomcock's original video about them filming or refilming 75% of the movie. I don't believe it. Now, I'm not calling out Doomcock. He's not lying. Again, he's just going by what his source is telling him, and he makes it clear in the video that he's not preaching it as gospel, right? The problem with that result is that most of the movie is CGI. And so not only do you have to render those effects at 2K or 4K resolution, which takes a lot of manpower and also takes a lot of time, but someone else was making this. There were a lot of really great comments on the video that I made, some calling me out a little bit, but also many that were kind of adding to the discussion. And they said, you're forgetting about the 3D models and the 3D rendering and all these different intricate parts. You realize that to make an image on screen, the CGI images they make, it takes hours and hours to get even just a frame or two done, and then you have to render it. So with all of that taken into account, you can't film and reshoot 75% of a movie like The Rise of Skywalker in a couple of months. It's literally impossible. Are they doing reshoots? I believe that. I believe that reshoots might be taking place. But 75% of the movie, it's not that I don't want it to be true. It's that it is impossible. It simply can't be true because of physics and because of science and because of facts, right? And so I think that's something that many of us are trying to look at and decipher, because we definitely love people like Doomcock. We definitely love him, and he means no ill will. Again, he's not lying to anyone. It's what his source is telling him. And I think that there is some truth to it. I just think the number that he may have been fed of 75% is not true. Or is something that's been either elaborated upon or hyped up, etc. If that makes any sense. Sasha Neon says, you mentioned a leak that had Ahsoka's Force Ghost, so they dare to kill Ahsoka off screen. Are they nuts? Jeremy will riot. Well, I think the mindset is that she would have died of natural causes, but again, who knows? And yeah, Jeremy would definitely riot. Jeremy would riot for a lot of reasons. David S. says, okay, I got one already. David S., please don't spam. David S., you spam that comment like 10,000 times. You don't have to do that. Mr. Peabody, thank you for the $1 pledge via Patreon. Is that a new pledge? I don't know why that's popping up, but thank you anyway. Mr. Peabody's a great dude. Let's see. Rhinos says, if I try and imagine Last Jedi didn't happen, could The Force Awakens and Skywalker Rises possibly be considered good movies? I tend to think JJ was on to something with Force Awakens, and Big Head totally screwed up his story. Well, here's the thing. They're not ignoring it. They're treating The Last Jedi as if it were canon, and because they're treating it as if it were canon, it cannot escape the shadow. Hyperspace ramming is a fact. It is canonical at this point. What they did to Luke Skywalker's character is canonical at this point. And because of that, there's nothing that JJ can do unless he was going to make clear that The Last Jedi is not canon, which doesn't seem to be the idea at this point. Also, that is an inappropriate name that has joined us. I'm not going to read your name. I'm going to delete it at that. How dare you? D-Life community. Come on. China Man says, I see where Scorsese are coming from. Popcorn flicks are taking over Hollywood, but I think we need to have the film industry balanced. Sometimes a popcorn flick, sometimes real films. Yes, but the point that he's trying to make is that there is no balance. Most studios will not make the movies that would have been made 10, 20 years ago. And that's the point that Francis Ford Coppola was making. He was saying, look at The Godfather, considered to be one of the greatest films of all time. And yet, Francis Ford Coppola, who made that film, says without any hesitation, that film would not be made today. And the reason why is because the studio would look at that and say, that's too much of a risk, and we can't make a franchise out of it. We might be able to get one or two extra movies out of it, but that's not enough for us. So the problem is, and the reason why Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola are correct, because there is no balance. There is no balance. China Man says, Orson Welles is my favorite director. He was a genius director. I also love Tarantino, Fincher, and my man Nolan. All of those are great choices. Rhaegar Targaryen says, as a kid, I thought Orson Welles as Unicorn in the Transformers movie from the 1980s was terrifying. I've actually never seen that, but it sounds terrifying. Dina says, did you see Merry with no Pippin in the trailer? He was a few feet behind Rose. I've seen the still that looks like him, so yeah, I guess that's the case. CF Production says, Finn, Poe, and company on horses play the Lord of the Rings theme. Wouldn't that be something? Gabriel Alejandro says, I expect this garbage film, to have a budget beyond Endgame's budget. It could. I would say around $300 million before marketing is definitely within the possibility. Between $250 and $350. I think the final budget for the film before marketing is between $250 and $350 million. I think that is a pretty fair assessment. Rhaegar Targaryen says, Population 436 starred Fred Durst as a horror suspense film about a town's population, which strangely never changes. It was actually not bad. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind that he directed a lot of music videos back in the day too. So he's not a completely incompetent director, but I think it also speaks for itself. Orange Eye Review says, when I saw those horses, I thought 4 horsemen of the galactic apocalypse. That's a great point. Catherine Wingster says, Odin, what makes good rat? What makes good rat? I don't know. JT Spree, episode 9 box office break even estimate. So that's actually a good follow-up question to the one I just answered. So if the production budget is between $250 and $350, that means you have to add on top about another $150 in marketing. Because normally whatever the production cost is, they will take whatever half of that number is, add that to the production budget, and that's about the standard of what is spent on marketing for that particular film. Because how much you put into it should determine also how much you try and promote that film, right? Seems to make sense. And so let's take the in-between, $300 million. That means that the film would cost $450 million with marketing. Around that number, right? Not exactly, but around that number. It's a good estimate. The studios tend to make around 60% or so of their entire box office at the end of their run. So a film that makes $1 billion only really makes $600 million. So if we take that into account with the film costing $450 million, which honestly I think it could be more, because I think the production budget will be higher, closer to the $350 range. If that is the case, then the movie then needs to make about $800 million to break even, roughly. Because if $1 billion is 60% of that $600 million, it needs to make $450 million. No, actually, no. Scratch that. Reverse it. It only gets 60% of the box office. $450 million. No. Wait, that's right. Yeah. So it needs to make about $850 million or so. Can't do the math in my head right off the bat, but it needs to make a crap ton of money just to break even. Not good. Open-minded movie man, thank you very much for the subscription and super chat. That was very quick. Thank you very much, man. He says, just subbed. What later 2019 films are you looking forward to? There really aren't a whole lot left this year. There's a lot of films coming out next year. But let me try and just see the release schedule coming up. Let's see, full schedule. Let me see what movies we have coming out. Let's see. Harriet, the story about Harriet Tubman. I'm actually looking forward to that film. I think that there is a lot of stuff that could be good about that film. There's a religious film called Faustina. That's kind of just a me thing. Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining that I never knew I wanted until that trailer came out. It actually looks pretty good. Ford vs. Ferrari, I've heard good things about. Looks like it'd probably be pretty good. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Again, Tom Hanks is kind of a national treasure at this point. And let's see, that's it for November. And then for December, Jumanji: The Next Level. I think that the next Jumanji film will probably be pretty damn good. I am looking forward to Cats because it looks like nightmare fuel, and I like it. And 1917. Those are the only films I can really look at on the release schedule coming out that I have heard enough about to be excited for. So hopefully those are films that you're excited for as well. Very good question, open-minded movie man, and thank you so much. Nason says, I understand some of the animus towards Endgame, but I don't agree with the comparison to The Rise of Skywalker. There are genuine moments and feels built up by the MCU. There are no such things in... Nason, that's why I even said... I did make the point to say that it's not the exact same. However, I do think that there is a fair comparison in there. Mayor Jeremy says, I claim to be the biggest Star Wars fan I know, and I just don't care about Star Wars anymore. I just can't stomach any of this anymore, and I think a lot of people feel the same way, right? We look at what's going on. We look at the current state. We remind ourselves of what's happened beforehand, and it doesn't seem like they have understood what they've done. Doesn't look like they're changing. Doesn't look like they're trying to fix anything. And it's sad because we want to love Star Wars. Why do you think, you know what the biggest hype in Star Wars is right now? It ain't Episode 9. There are two things that I think honestly have more hype than Episode 9. And I would put them in this order. Mandalorian, because let's be honest, a lot of people are excited for Mandalorian, both Star Wars fans, normies, etc. And Clone Wars, Season 7. I think those are the two biggest hype Star Wars things going on right now. And then I would put Rise of Skywalker. That's where I'd stand it. John Early says, I'm sorry if I turned your little world upside down by revealing that Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life got a remake from the 1970s. All follow. You didn't turn my life upside down. It is upsetting. Kathy Wingster says, one more week for Batman Beyond. Can't wait to relive. It's so excited. Is it being rebooted? Is that what's going on? Peter, oh wait, no, that's right. Never mind. So Kathy Wingster, yes, that's right. Batman Beyond is getting a Blu-ray release, right? That's right. It's finally getting a release on Blu-ray. So that's very exciting. Bruce says, you know of the idiom, no body, no death. Yeah, that's a good point. Peter Hand says, have we got a confirmed runtime for Rise of Skywalker? There's no way all the supposed leaks can happen in a standard 2-hour movie. I don't think we have. Let me double check on that. So runtime, Rise of Skywalker runtime. According to AMC Theaters, it is a whopping 155 minutes. So this is something that was released 8 hours ago because when it went on sale, they normally have the runtime. So right now, the preliminary runtime is 2 hours and 35 minutes, which I think is actually shorter than The Last Jedi, which is surprising because normally if you're ending a franchise, it's going to be the longest film you've got. That's interesting. Darth Moral says, it's sad about Dark Fate because it is the fourth film since T2 and none of them hold up. Franchise should have ended at T2. Yes, I agree. Or you give James Cameron the time to finish his stupid Avatar films and then let him actually write and direct a film and then it'll probably be better. Sasha Neon says, saw a Supreme Leader Kylo Ren figure at Walmart, didn't take it seriously, not a threatening villain, doing Andy Serkis wrong was just another sin. Oh yeah, because Andy Serkis is one of the most talented guys working in the business right now. His immense talent as a oh man, I've been going on for too long, guys, because I'm blanking out right now. As a motion capture performer is truly breathtaking. It's amazing what he's doing. Chinaman says, the kind of films that really work for me are directorial-driven films. I love the visual storytelling. That story is well-written stories. The reason why I like Finisher and Wells' work. And I think that's the reason why, too, we find a lot of love and appreciation for films like Joker. Hybrid says, I wanted to apologize if I haven't been on for a while. My aunt has kidney failure and is passing away. I'm sure peace will be with her in the afterlife. Happy to be here in the stream. Well, Hybrid, I'm sorry to hear that, and my prayers are going out to you and your family. As I always mentioned before on streams, if there's anything ever going on, please, if you want to share it, go ahead and share it. I keep anyone that shares anything with me in my prayers to the best of my ability, because I do pray. I mentioned this beforehand. For my birthday, I got the Liturgy of the Hours set, and for those who don't know, it's a Catholic way of prayer, basically dedicating the entire day to prayer. So I pray in the morning, during the middle of the day, and in the evening, and I always try and bring the intentions of the community, so not just my life, but also my family here on YouTube as well. So thanks for sharing that, Hyper, and I hope everything is going okay, and definitely we'll be praying for her healing, but also, of course, for your family, and for eventually praying for the repose of her soul. But, of course, she's still alive, she's still fighting, so praying for her. Let's see. J-Rod the Beer Guru. Holy crap, J-Rod. It's been too long, man. J-Rod the Beer Guru. Thank you for the diamond donation. Captain J-Rod the Beer Guru. Very sorry about that. Finally got free time to catch you. Cheers, Odin. Well, Captain J-Rod. Thank you, man. I've missed you. I shout you out every stream because you're one of my Subscribe Star peeps, but I'm so glad that you actually catched one. You actually caught one, man. Thank you. And Captain J-Rod, thank you so much. And also Lothar says, Hail Odin. Thank you. Thank you. Captain Wingster says this. So was Snoke a thing or was I dreaming? Yeah, it seems like a dream, right? Darth Morrill says, also now hearing from some people that Dark Fate has an orange man agenda. Who didn't see this coming? Well, seeing that the director made it very clear the kind of film that he was planning to make, not surprising. Hammer says, even if the Emperor didn't die, why would he just be chilling out somewhere for 30 years? That's just dumb. Yeah. China Man says, Robert Pattinson is very good in Good Time. He is a talented actor. Twilight was a mistake that any actor can have eventually, but he is talented. I hope to see him in future films. Well, I mean, he's going to be Batman, so I think that's a clear indication that many people still believe in him and his acting ability. I think that if you've seen any of his independent work, he is a good actor. And it's funny because he hated he hated Twilight. In his interviews, he always said, these are the dumbest movies. He said, this is a stupid story. And I think that so many people connected to him because of that. But he obviously did it for the money. And you know what? Good on him. He made bank from that performance and from that role. Again, he gave bank. He made bank off of it. And at the end of the day, that's what you look to. Also, CF Productions says, Breaking IndieWire gave Terminator Dark Fate a 1.5 out of 5. Damn, son. Damn. In fact, the site that should not be named, I wonder if they've got any early reviews for that film out right now. I wonder if that's how you found out what it was. Because if that's the case, that could be an interesting development, saying that that's about a week out. Because, yeah, they would be lifting the ban at this point, or at least close to this point. Currently sitting at 61% on the site that should not be named, with top critics at 29%. Now, we all know that critic score means absolutely nothing. But let me see here. Time Out gave it a 2 out of 5. Associated Press gave it a 2 out of 4. Let's see. Guardian gave it a 2 out of 5. Slant gave it a 2 out of 4. You see, here's the thing. These are so... Oh, man. It's so hard to read these reviews because there's so many woke people, and you know that they have skewered and slanted their reviews before for political reasons. It's so hard to tell when they're doing it now. It's so hard to tell when they're being honest and when they're just trying to be woke. That's the reason why modern day movie criticism is terrible. Zach Gregg says 9 to 9. 9 to 9? CA Production says this damage is not enough. Burn the Blu-ray. Well, to be fair, I am sending the pieces to Jeremy at some point, so that way he can put it next to his 100,000 plaque from YouTube, because that is going to be his that is going to be his trophy from hitting 200,000. Sasha Neon says, I know we're about forgiveness and acceptance, but what if someone like Campia admitted we are right and supported the Phantom Menace? Just a hypothetical quandary. Well, for me personally, if anyone were to, like, for example, I don't think that he would ever do that, but if John Campia came out and said, I am very sorry for having said that they were man babies, that they were, cousin humping basement dwellers. Those are his words. And he had an honest change of heart. And he did everything he could to make it up. And he did everything he could to reach out and to show that he's changed, etc. I would listen to him. I think you've seen that a lot with Andy Signore, right? Andy Signore was vilified, and he was able to reveal the truth of his story, that he was thrown under the bus for an allegation that ended up not being true. He again made the huge case showing of his, proving his innocence essentially. And now he's actually come to the point where he is much more middle of the road. He used to be very much a part of the woke media. And he calls that stuff out now. And he's definitely not a Republican or a conservative or Phantom Menace or whatever name you want to put to it, right? There's all these different levels that exist within the Phantom Menace, right? There is no just single party or single philosophy that identifies the Phantom Menace. But he's not even Phantom Menace, right? He's still an independent mind, but now he's a lot more open, right? I could say, hey, do you want to do a stream together? And he might say, yeah, you know what? Fine. No problem with that. He likes dialogue, right? I mean, that's the reason why he went on Geeks and Gamers channel. He went and talked with Jeremy. Before all that crap happened with him, when he was, flying high, I don't think he would have done it. I think he would have laughed and scoffed at Jeremy, but now he has a little bit of different perspective. So I think the same thing could happen. If it can happen to Andy Signore, because he was obviously very, very big in the YouTube community. If it can happen to Andy Signore, it can happen to John Campia. And I hope it does. I really hope it does. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I hope that he wakes up. I really do, because it would be really nice to not have enemies. It'd be really nice not to have to trash talk people, because I would love for us all to be able to get along. There are people on this channel that disagree with me on many things, politically, religiously especially, but with movies too, right? There's a lot of people here, for example, that love The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not a huge fan of it, but that's okay. We can disagree. We can come together and we can agree on what's important in life and disagree on things that don't matter nearly as much. Dark Detective says, after all the recent news about the Batman, I really think Micronauts and the new Pixar movie should move. Yeah, I think there's definitely a case to be made there. All right, looks like the YouTube chat jumped on me. We still got 251 people. Holy crap, guys. This is amazing. This might be a record. Tina and Steph, I don't know if y'all can confirm that or not, my Valkyries, but this is definitely one of the largest streams I've ever had on my own. So thank you so much for being here. It's always very humbling. And I'm very sorry that I've fallen behind in the chat, but on a normal night, we have about 100 people in here. So this is amazing that we have 150 more people that normally aren't here. So thank you so much. Please smash the like button if you can. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. And just know that I do this twice a week on my channel. And then on Friday Night Tights, I do that. And every now and then I have a Chosen of Valhalla where my Patreon backers, my $25 enough Patreon backers and Subscribe Star backers are welcomed onto the stream, and we have a nice conversation together. And I try and always keep it open to everyone. You know, if you have a comment in the chat, hey, put Odin question. Just type in Odin question, and I'll see it, and I'll read it. And you don't have to super chat. You don't have to donate, right? I try not to be one of those channels. It becomes harder when we have streams like this, but it is something that I still very much enjoy doing. And as much as I appreciate donations and appreciate super chats, I still like also being able to read just regular standard comments too, because your time is just as precious as any dollar that you can donate. And I want to always try and, I always want to try and recognize the time commitment that a lot of you are putting in to these streams, because I know it's not easy. Shia says, love you, bruv. Thank you, Shia, man. I love you too, bruv. I love you too. All right, jump back over to YouTube chat. Cia Production says, remember that scene from Empire where Yoda and R2 fight over the flashlight thingy? Think of JJ as Yoda, Ryan as R2, and the flashlight as the handling of the sequel trilogy. I think that's a good reference. And just for everyone to know, I'm at 8:21 in the chat. It's 8:39 where I am, so I'm still 20 minutes behind. And I will have to start rushing through comments soon. Not yet, but soon. Will Gentry says, I've got a way The Last Jedi can be canon and Luke can still be alive. I'm going to make it into a video when I finally finish writing it. Okay, well, can't wait to hear about that. China Man says, I agree when you said films sometimes go too far with sexual scenes. It's the only problem we have with movies in our country. I avoid to take my family to the theaters. Yeah, and really that is the number one issue that I personally have. And the reason why is because we have a problem in our own country with us being overly desensitized to that. And I think that being overly desensitized to sexual scenes like that really just open up a huge can of worms and have a huge impact on society. That's my own personal thought. Again, that's my own personal thought, but obviously it's what I believe. Sasa Neon says, I feel Anthony Daniels was always talking more to us Star Wars fans, which makes the all the more tragic. Not how I wanted to say goodbye to my childhood friends. Disney has betrayed us. Yeah, I think that one could definitely read into the 3PO character's lines from the trailer as talking to fans. But here's the thing. It happens in the movie, and he's talking to characters that have no real connection to him. I felt nothing when he said that. I wanted to feel something because the line is powerful. And the way that Daniels delivers the line as 3PO is powerful. The music swells up, and it's powerful. But then you think about what the scene is and who's there and how it doesn't make any sense. And it just ruins the entire thing. It's so sad. It really is. Terrific. CA Productions, I saw that someone had put that in the chat. Says JJ, what? Okay, I can't do dialogue right now. Don't have enough time. China says, yes, I totally agree. The film industry is not balanced. This era. We can't have films like Touch of Evil, for example. We're lucky we got Joker, but I want it to be balanced. I hope it does. I want balance too. I don't hate blockbuster films. There are many blockbuster films that are some of my favorite films of all time. I mean, Back to the Future is technically a blockbuster film, right? Is a popcorn film, but it's also very well done. See, here's the problem we have. There isn't a balance. You're right about that. There isn't a balance between just, good, like standard filmmaking and the big budget popcorn stuff, but also because we are oversaturated with popcorn films, they're not good. They're lowest common denominator crap, right? They really do fail on so many levels. And so if they were at least good films, like just solidly, objectively good films, especially from storytelling. That's where the weakest point of the popcorn films today is the storytelling, because most of it is just awful. But at the very least, if we had good storytelling, we could at least get through it. But we don't even get that. We don't even get that. It's bad. Christopher Mill says, what do you think of this Halloween idea? Play the radio version of War of the Worlds while handing out candy. That's a great idea. Go ahead and do that, Christopher Mills. That's actually a brilliant idea, because I bet you there will be some grandparents. I hate to age it that way, but you might have some grandparents, or at the very least some film fans, or at least some Orson Welles fans that will get the reference and say, oh, I know what that is. I would be down for that. Alice McCarthy says, when all is said and done, I hope Joker has a higher overall box office than The Rise of Skywalker. That'll be tough. Is it possible? Sure. But it'll be tough because, as I said, the box office take for Rise of Skywalker is a giant unknown at this point in time. We know that the pre-sales are strong. How strong? We honestly don't know. We know that people will probably show up on the day. It'll be a busy Thursday opening. I'm going to say that right now. It's going to be a busy Thursday opening. The question is, will people show up opening weekend? And how many will show up second weekend? That's the big question. And also how big that drop-off will be. Joker had historically low drop-offs. It only dropped 43%. Every weekend since it's opened, the drops have been 43%, almost exactly. It's had very historically low drop-offs domestically. It's also making crap tons of money in the foreign market. It's already made $250 million here in the US, almost $500 million overseas. This film is now at $741.3 million, and it's only been out 3 weeks. By the end of this weekend, it'll be at $8 to $850. There's a great chance that this film will get far past $900 million, and there's still an outside chance, especially since it's still the Halloween season, and it's got another 2 weeks of Halloween season of October to make more money. And if it's going up against weaker films, especially this coming weekend. Here's the thing. Maleficent is dropping off a great deal. Zombieland 2 had an okay showing. It'll stay top 3 probably, because it's also, again, one of those Halloween-esque films. There's a good chance Joker could come back as number 1. Think about this. The Joker was number 1 in the box office for 2 weeks, came in at number 2 in its 3rd week, beat out a new movie in Zombieland 2, and because Mistress of Evil, if the week box office, as I said, Monday box office, Joker beat Maleficent. That's nothing to snuff at. That's actually a big deal, seeing that Maleficent just came out. But if Joker is able to continue and still have just that 43% drop after having just large numbers and large gains, if Maleficent, because let's see if I can break this down. Because let's assume Maleficent. Okay, Maleficent came out with 36.9 million, around 37 million. So let's assume that film drops over 50%. I think that's totally reasonable, that it drops over 50%. You're looking at a film then that's going to make around 15 to 20 million in its second weekend. If we take the same type of drop for a film like, so again, 15 to 20 million, right? 15 to 20 million for that film. Joker, in its most recent weekend, made 29 million. Let's assume that there's also about a 43% drop. So the actual official numbers are 41.9% drop in its first week, very low. 47.6% in its second weekend, also very low. Assuming it has around that same amount of drop, you're looking at a film that's going to make around 15 million in its fourth weekend. So there is a chance that Joker could come in as number 1 in its fourth weekend. That's an incredibly strong showing, and if it's able to do that, I think it's a better chance of reaching the $1 billion mark. And not just that, it will reach $1 billion without having been released in China. That's a big deal, not just because of not having a China release. It's also a big deal because it's a rated R movie. And a rated R movie has never really had this kind of success before. It really is just amazing. And also the other reason is because there really is no giant, big blockbuster that's going to take over the box office this weekend. Again, the biggest release that they have is The Current War, which I haven't even heard of until just today. It's amazing. It is truly amazing what that movie is doing at this point. All right, let's see. Back to the YouTube chat. Captain Wingster says, Odin, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Jar? Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Jar Jar the fraud? David Prevost says, any predictions on Frozen 2, and will you think it will affect episode 9? Frozen 2 will probably do very well, but Frozen 2 is getting a November release, so I don't think it'll have much of an impact on it. Sasha says, a gentleman's bet that episode 9 won't hit $1 billion and will struggle past $500 million. I think we're set for worse than Justice League levels of box office bombing. I will take that bet I think you're wrong, Slicer. I respect you, but if you think episode 9 is not going to get past 500 million, I don't know where you're getting that from. That sounds like a feeling more so than it based on anything. Gather Wingster says, Odin, your Rise of Skywalker review is going to be weird. Rise of Skywalker has a bunch of humanoid cats who don't use their lightsabers. Oh, now that would be a wonderful thing. China Man says, John Wick 3 is filmed in Morocco. They got the language weird. We don't speak literature Arabic. It's mixed between Arabic and Emising. We also confuse British with US accent. That's interesting. Slicer says, I could spend 2.5 hours watching a bad Star Wars movie or spend the time playing 2.5 hours playing Jedi Fallen Order for good Star Wars. Easy decision for me. Slicer, that sounds like a very good... I would rather play Breath of the Wild because there's still so much I have to do. I finally gotten all the little... all the special power-ups, so I could go to Hyrule Castle to try and face Ganon, but I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. Jay Stowe says, even if it is not as long as a gap between season, I hope Star Wars Clone Wars does good like Samurai Jack did. Me too. I hope that it is a good transition as well. Rhaegar Targaryen says, Andy Serkis was criminally underused in MCU as Ulysses Claw 2. Yes, he was. You're absolutely right. All right, I'm having to skip some comments from people that I've read a lot of already because I do have to start wrapping things up pretty soon. John Farrell says, you heard that a Flaming Hot Cheetos movie is coming out. Really? Really? Flaming Hot Cheetos movie? That sounds stupid. That sounds awful. Rhaegar Targaryen says, Andy Serkis was criminally under... Okay, got that. Cool, so I'm actually catching up in the chat. This is awesome. This is great. Orange Eye Review says, what are your thoughts on The Secrets of Nim? I missed the movie a lot in True Classic. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's a very solid film. Very solid animation film. Sierra Production says, by the way, regardless of how we feel about him, prayers for Jimmy Carter. I don't know what happened to Jimmy Carter, but yes, absolutely. I can disagree with you until I'm blue in the face, but I will never wish harm upon anyone. He is an older person, though, so if it is his time, it's his time, but I definitely do not wish any ill will on anyone. Jeremy Swiggs, people do disagree with you. Waffles are happening, not pancakes. Pancakes? A stack of pancakes. A stack of pancakes. Steady B says, it is a record. Thank you, Steady B. So we do have a record here on the Odin's Movie Vlog channel. So thank you for being part of channel history. As small of a moment as it might be for you, it's a large moment for me. So once again, we have 258 people still watching. And I know that the High Council will be starting relatively soon. So thank you so much for being a part of this stream. And please smash the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. And thank you so much just for being a great audience. Seriously, your time is precious. And so seriously, thank you so much for sharing even just a little bit of your time with the channel. I really do appreciate it. Okay, reading comments that I've not heard of a lot tonight. Zinewater says, sorry, I've been kind of gone lately. Birthday and surgery last week. I did not know you had surgery. Hope everything's okay. Praying for you. Superman Gamer says, what do you think this of future film criticism? What do you think entertainment sites, blogs will ever end the practice of content farming and start prioritizing quality? I think that there will become a breaking point's coming where people online will start just to stop going to sites. Rotten Tomatoes will be a thing of the past. You already see it happen with a lot of these online places, right? IO9 and a lot of sites like it are starting to lose subscribers, starting to lose a lot of their not merchandising, advertising dollars, right? And so I think that that's going to be the future of a lot of these sites because of their nonsense. Okay. And almost caught up with the chat. Let's see if anyone else I had not heard of from tonight that was trying to reach out to me, because I wanted to make sure I give everyone a chance, because if it ever seems like I'm only focusing on just a few people, just know it's because they are putting Odin question, all one word, into their conversation before they post it. And so it's simply the people that keep on doing that get their comments read. If you are a person that has not done that yet and you have a comment that you want to have read or a question, you're more than welcome to do so, right? And so, and I'm not trying to shaft any of my loyal people who like to ask a lot of questions and have a lot of comments. Just know that I do need to start ending the stream because my wife is going to be ready for bed, and that is something that's very important that I don't disrupt, because I also did not get sleep last night either, so I know I need to get some sleep at some point as well. But yeah, this has been a really great stream. Poppyton, thank you for the ice cream donation. Stray Dogs 65, thank you for the 3 lemon donation as well. Jerry Swig says, tonight Odin blinded me with CGI science. I hope you enjoyed it. Good sir. And yeah, 70B in the chat. So for anyone watching, if you've been watching for a while, or if tonight's your first night, look at what Stephanie B has done at 8:52 in the chat. She says, do this, and then she's typed Odin question, and she's got a little arrow next to it, right? So anyone that types Odin question like that, on my end, that Odin question is orange. So it's easy for me to see, especially when there's a sea of chats. And so what I do for my streams is I look for any comment that has that there, the Odin question, again, highlighted orange, got to be spelled correctly, one word, right? Anytime I see that, those are the comments and questions that I read. I don't skip people, right? Unless someone's being an idiot, but usually my Valkyrie, my mods take care of any knuckleheads out there that try and get me to read inappropriate things, because they're awesome. And again, huge shout out to Tina and Steph in the chat, because they are amazing Valkyries, they're amazing mods, and I don't know what I would do without them. But you can also, again, you don't have to super chat. There's no secret chat that I keep. Literally all of it is in public for you to see. That is how I read comments. That is how I answer questions. And that's how you do it. If you just tag at Odin or Odin's movie blog, it's not going to pop up for me. I know that other channels might be different. The reason why I do it this way is because it makes it so that people that watch the channel consistently are ones that will have better access. But also it means that if you're brand new to the channel, it's not hard to learn how to ask questions either. So just going to read a few more comments. Super Anime Gamer says, agreed, as someone who wants to be a film critic, some of the stuff is exciting, but it can be concerning too. The industry has gone full stupid right now. I agree. And John Early says, Allfather, do you recommend David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? It's a well-made movie. David Fincher's a very talented filmmaker, and so no matter what movie he makes, it's going to be solid, objectively speaking. I personally was not a huge fan of it, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good movie. I think that's going to be a subjective difference. Chris Stanley just came in. Thank you for the $5 donation through Streamlabs. It really does help a lot going through Streamlabs instead of YouTube. So thank you very much for the $5 Streamlabs donation. And Chris says, Hail Odin, great stream. Thanks, mods, Stephanie B and Tina B. Yes, thank you so much to the mods. You guys are awesome. See, there you go. This is a name that I've never seen before. Ultra Instinct Iron Spider. That's a badass name. It says, you deserve the record for people on your channel this evening. You have great content and have wonderful Valkyries by your side. God bless you, my friend. God bless you, Ultra. Thank you so much, man. And great to see your name in the chat as well. Again, it's really great to see it. And thank you so much for those kind words. And yeah, seriously, I don't know what I would do or where I would be without Tina and Steph. They keep me honest. They keep me on task. They always make sure that I'm up to my game, and they've been wonderful. And hopefully, having less streams on the channel has been a little bit of a breather for them, because I used to do Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday, and ever since I added doing Friday Night Tights with Gary Nerdrotic and Jeremy and Drunk 3PO and whoever else we have on, it's I had to take one stream off. So hopefully that's a little bit easier for y'all. But thank you so much. And yeah, absolutely thanks to Steph and Tina for being amazing people. Jordan Farrell says, if Star Wars is just for kids, would The Last Jedi be child abuse? That's a great question. You should probably ask Freddie Prinze Jr. I wonder what his thoughts are on that. And Jeremy Swiggs, how many here want to give Odin Question a big hug? Aw, well, thank you. I've been told I'm like a giant teddy bear. I don't know if that's a fat comment or if it's just because I'm also a lanky guy too. I'm 6 foot and lanky. I mean, I'm going to answer my own question. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of the bubbly. Tina says, you put up with me sending you DMs on Twitter where I go off. Yes, Tina, but you know what? It's always good stuff. Sam Productions says, Jimmy Carter fell and broke his pelvis. Yeah, for someone his age, that's usually a very, very bad sign. So definitely prayers heading his way. No doubt. And then Will Judge says, it's a bit of both. Yes, it is a bit of both, right? It is a bit of both. I can be honest about myself. I'm not ashamed to be honest about myself. It's like when my students make fun of me and they're like, oh, what are you, like 40? And I'm like, Yeah, I know I look a little older because I could take care of myself a little bit better. But you know what? I'll have you know, I'm in my I'm 31. I will have you know. It's all good fun, though. It's all good fun. I love my students. And my students, usually they tell me that they listen to the streams. They're not always active in the chats. But if any of my students are listening, just want you to know, you guys are awesome. It's been truly a wonderful transition being up here. And y'all have made it very easy for me to transition up here. And it's been wonderful. So thank you so much for being amazing people. Your families are great too. Like seriously, it's been such a welcoming community at my new school. Both my coworkers, administration, students, and that's a very rare thing. Someone who left not as great of a situation. There's some amazing people. Let me put. I sometimes throw a lot of shade at my old school, but there are some amazing people there. There are really amazing people. There's also some not so amazing people, and it's very rare, though, that you're at a school where almost every single person you meet is amazing. I can't really complain about anyone at this point, and it's been amazing. But also, too, the fact that the channel has been active like this for the better part of a year now, and the fact that the community has grown so much, the fact that we have grown in the way that we have, that the live streams that used to be 5 people when I first started, if even 5, grew to 20, 30, 40 consistently. And then really for the past couple of months has been really stuck around 100, which is still boggling my mind. I mean, 240 people still watching. That's amazing. But the fact that our average is around 100 still is truly humbling. It's a humbling experience. As you all know, I do this for fun. There are some people on here that work their asses off. They do this as a living, and I commend them, and I pray for them. But as someone that's able to just put on a camera, start talking, have conversations with people halfway across the world, 12 hours away, depending on their time zone, if not even more, especially for my Aussie brethren. It's amazing. I never thought I'd be here. I never thought we would have this kind of community. I never thought that we would have this kind of growth and that we would have this thing that really is special. And I know that I know that it might seem disingenuous, but it is true. This is like a second family. This is like something that I've never experienced before. And Catherine J-Rod just put in a GIF over on D-Live saying, "You're breathtaking." No, you're breathtaking, J-Rod. Every person here is breathtaking. And D-Live fam, YouTube fam, you guys are all amazing. So thank you so much for watching the stream. Lou says congrats on the new stream. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Will Gentry, you're awesome. John Early, you're awesome. Jeremy Swiggs as well. Sorry I can't get to y'all's questions right now just because I do need to start wrapping things up because my wife's about to go to bed. I can literally hear her in the background. But let me go ahead and shout out my people like I normally do, my Patreon and Subscribe Star supporters. So a huge shout out to my October Patreon supporters: Animation Commentator, Baptist 702, Brian P, Dion, Edward Coleman, Elizabeth M, Enrique Evangelista, Entertainment Hacker, Father Christopher Miller, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Weeder Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunka Chunka Funka Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Edge Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, JJ, Jonathan Jarenbeck, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin, Orange Chat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Patrick Layden, Perpetual Punster, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Sir Lancelato, Theodore Benden, The DJD Show, Those Two Ball Guys, US Dutch Kitty, and What an ABC. You're all amazing and beautiful people. And also to my Subscribe Star subscribers as well. I need to sign in. This is blasphemy. Making me sign in. Huge shout out to them. We've got Drunken Welfare Man, Mr. Roy, Box, History Girl Tina B, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, Laura Story, Alice McCarthy, US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing, beautiful people. Also, I need to wish goodbye to one of my Subscribe Star peeps who left yesterday. Fan Addicts of Film. I hope everything is okay. Thank you so much for being a part of the Subscribe Star community for as long as you were, again, for about 3 or 4 months. So thank you so much for all of your tremendous support, man. And hope everything is fine. Hope we're good. Hope everything is fine. I always get worried when people leave because I just want to make sure everything is fine. But D-Live fam, you stick around. You know that I take care of y'all in a little bit. Jordan Farrell, you have a good one. Jordan Farrell, Alex McCarthy, Super Anime Gamer 70B, Tina, my Valks, you are amazing. Jay Stowe as well. Also, last minute donation, the K-Man. Thank you very much, dude. One of my D-Live fam. Thank you for the $5 donation through Streamlabs. It says, for the great Odin, great man. Well, Captain K-Man, I think you're still a captain. Maybe you're not. But anyway, the K-Man, thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. We got K-Man in the chat, Bruce in the chat, John Early CF Productions as well, Hypern as well. Anyway, everyone in the YouTube chat, everyone in the D-Live chat, you're all amazing and beautiful people. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being a part of channel history with the largest stream that we've had and one of my solo streams here on the channel. Hope that you will join us again for our next stream on Saturday, where we will have a trivia night. It'll be a lot of Halloween-themed trivia where people who win the rounds will be put into a giant pool, and out of that pool will be chosen winners to get digital codes to the movies. So there'll be some prizes to be given away on Saturday, and that right now is the plan for Saturday. And also, please join us over on Gary Nerdrotic's channel for Friday Night Tights. Great time, great people over there, over on Nerdrotic's channel. And also, Valkyrie, if y'all can post a link, again, if you can post a link to where the High Council will be tonight, that'd be awesome, because this is the one-man low council, and we always try and send people over to the High Council. It's kind of a warm-up party for them, as well as being our own thing as well. You guys freaking rock. Also, China Man has become a Patreon supporter, so thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. You'll get a shout-out every day, every stream, starting next month. So your patronage will start next month. So thank you so much for joining, though. You guys freaking awesome. Love you guys so much. Have a wonderful night. And as always, God bless.